I am St. Louis. You probably already think you know me, and that's understandable. You've read the headlines, you've cheered my sports teams, and you've maybe even visited that big arch in my front yard. But I've got something to tell you. I'm more interesting, more complex, and more surprising than you realize. There are so many parts of me you've never known, even if you have lived here all your life. That's about to change. I'm ready to introduce myself in new ways, to share my triumphs and my tragedies, to inspire you with the history you walk on and walk past every day, to redefine what it means to be St. Louis. I am St. Louis, and I don't believe we've met. I am the place that was known as Mound City, that was ruled by 3 empires, where enslaved people used the courts to fight for their freedom. I am the place that argued it should be the nation's capital. I am St. Louis. I am the place that is home to the first black high school west of the Mississippi River. I am the place whose drinking water was once more solid than liquid. I am the place that stole America's first Olympics. I am the place where one of the country's first black female millionaires made her riches. I am St. Louis. I am the place that taught America to cook, that sent men into space, that boasts the oldest bridge on the Mississippi. I am the place that rewrote the soundtrack of America countless times. I am St. Louis, and I don't believe we've met. I am a place whose story deserves to be told more boldly, shared more broadly, and appreciated more deeply. It all starts with a proper introduction. The Missouri Historical Society has been the preserver and protector of my story for more than 156 years. In the years and decades ahead, the Missouri History Museum, the Library and Research Center, and Soldiers Memorial Military Museum will introduce me in innovative new ways. New exhibits will take you on a decade-by-decade walk through my history, sharing both the big moments that defined me and the small moments that made life so interesting. MHS will create new programs that will help you connect my past to the present and to better plan for my future. It will showcase more of its collection than ever before, sharing artifacts that past generations thought would help you get to know me better. And MHS will move beyond the walls of its 3 institutions through community tours that invite visitors and locals alike to see the places where history happened. I am a place filled with fans and with leaders, with workers and with dreamers, with artists and with activists, with people who have lived here all their lives, and with people who just moved here last week. I am a place that deserves to be celebrated. But what makes me most remarkable is the people who have called me home. I am a place, but we are St. Louis.
Good evening. Well, for the talk back, I appreciate that. And welcome to the Missouri History Museum and Thursday nights at the museum presented by WashU in St. Louis for St. Louis. My name is Cecily Hunter, and I am the public historian for the African American History Initiative. It's great to have you here, and it means a lot that you are setting aside part of your week to spend with us and to get to know St. Louis better. If you enjoyed tonight's program, I have good news for you. We do this every single Thursday night. Whether it's a concert, a lecture, a play, a dance performance, or a conversation about our community's most pressing issues, we are here with an engaging event on Thursday nights. We like to say that sometimes on Thursdays, they're gonna always be the most fun. Sometimes they're gonna be the most thought-provoking, but we can assure you that it will always be interesting and the best part of your week. So whether it's Thursday nights, exhibits like Gateway to Pride, our upcoming Collected exhibit, and our New World's Fair exhibit, they're all a part of our commitment to share the full St. Louis story. And we cannot share the full story without telling the story of all St. Louisans. That idea is central to the work that we do here at MHS, that every St. Louisan deserves to have their story told, and that St. Louis is a fascinating place that deserves a proper introduction. By showing up here tonight, you've demonstrated that you care a lot about St. Louis and its history, so for that, we thank you. We cannot share the story of this community without your support on our Thursdays, without the support of St. Louis taxpayers, and without the support of our members and our donors. If you aren't a member of the Missouri Historical Society, we'd love to have you. If you haven't contributed to our We Are St. Louis campaign, again, we'd love to have you. You can scan the QR code on the screen here, visit wearestllouis.com, or talk to me or anyone with a MHS name tag here tonight. St. Louis deserves it, and we'd love to have your help in sharing the St. Louis story. I cannot be more excited than to get started with our program for tonight. This evening, we are celebrating Black History Month by discussing the vibrant cultural expression of Black joy, the arts, and community. St. Louis became a thriving hub for Black arts, for Black writers, for Black musicians, and even performers by infusing elements of joy, soul, and creativity into our local, our national, and even international communities. St. Louis's rich history shines in more ways than one, but for tonight, we're going to focus on the art scene that shaped and molded the place that we call home. From the blues that was heard throughout St. Louis to the groundbreaking work on stages just like this one, Black St. Louisans have continuously used art to express joy, creativity, and pride. Tonight's Black History Month program would not be made possible without our partners, Five on Your Side. I want to give a big thank you to everyone from Five on Your Side for collaborating with us and bringing this event to life. Now we have to give them a round of applause. And before I turn it over to our host anchors, let's take a minute to acknowledge some important figures whose legacies still inspire us today. Now, as you know, there are and there's a long list of brilliant Black creatives. So we're just gonna name a few, and we're gonna turn our attention to the 20th century. So from the top, left to right, we have Katherine Dunham, Kenneth Billups. Oh, okay, yeah, let's give a round. Come on, y'all, yeah. All right, so I got a number of them. So we have Katherine Dunham, we have Kenneth Billups with a group of students. We have Maya Angelou with Frankie Muse Freeman. I love it, I love it. And on the bottom, from left to right, we have Grace Bumbry, Chuck Berry, and we have Fontella Bass. All right. So I'm going to popcorn around, so I hope that you guys will use the photos as a point of reference. So first, we have Chuck Berry, who is called the king of rock and roll. He was born right here in St. Louis, and he revolutionized music with his signature guitar and his unforgettable riffs. Songs like Johnny B. Good and Maybelline were popular during the 1950s. Next, what better way to stir a crowd than to hear the soulful voice of Fontella Bass singing Rescue Me during the 1960s. I'm gonna spare y'all because I love that song. And as a St. Louis native, she embodied the joy of gospel, soul, rhythm, and even blues. Her voice resonates with the energy of Black joy, and she brought those sounds to the world, inspiring generations of singers. Now, within the genre of music, we turn to opera. So if you want to hear a compelling voice, what better way to hear the voice of Grace Bumbry, an opera singer that became revolutionized international and became well-renowned as well. She broke barriers within the classical music world and offering a powerful and joyful expression of Black excellence. And now, of course, if you're wondering, well, who might have influenced Grace Bumbry? Well, I got an answer for you all. We must discuss Kenneth Billups, another dynamic figure in St. Louis arts community, known not only for his musical talents, but also for his dedication to education and community. As a musician and an educator, he shaped the musical journey of many students at Sumner High School. Come on, Sumner. Come on, Sumner. I know y'all here. You gotta represent Sumner High School, and inspired the next generation of artists like Grace Brumbry and the legend singers as well. So as music fills the air and the rhythm takes over the body, Black dancers become powerful symbols of using expressive movements that celebrate with every step and with every turn and with every gesture that connects all of us together. One pioneer would be Katherine Dunham, whose groundbreaking work brought the beauty of Black dance to create something truly revolutionary. And speaking of another person who has been influential, we have to turn to the words of Maya Angelou, "Still I Rise." She remains etched into the hearts and into the minds of all who read her poetry. As an incredible writer, a poet, and activist, Maya Angelou used words to speak to the beauty, to the strength, and even to the celebration of Black life. So collectively, our St. Louis Black community has found freedom in music, in dance, and writing as we celebrate and honor our identity, our history, and our creativity. So whether it's Chuck Berry's artistry on his guitar, or even Katherine Dunham's captivating movements of dance, or Maya Angelou's words of empowerment and encouragement, our Black joy transcends barriers and becomes our source of strength. And it is this joy that calls us to honor those who came before us and has the ability to shape even the next generation of Black, brilliant St. Louis artists, of dancers, of musicians, and even writers. In St. Louis, this joy continues to thrive. And so I'll take just a brief moment to introduce 5 On Your Side's anchors, Kelly Jackson and Brent Solomon, as our facilitators for tonight's panel. Kelly Jackson is an Emmy Award-winning journalist who co-anchors the 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. newscast alongside Mike Bush. With experience across diverse television markets from Ohio to California, Kelly has called St. Louis home for over 20 years. Passionate about pets, she hosts a pet traveling series and is the proud mom of a rescue dog named Birdie. Isn't that so cute? I love that. Brent Solomon can be seen weekdays anchoring 5 On Your Side at 4 p.m. and reporting the news of the day at 10 p.m. He received an undergraduate communications degree from the University of Florida and a master's degree in communication from Purdue University. The Emmy-nominated journalist's work has been recognized with numerous awards, including Best Reporter in the Virginias by the Associated Press on 3 separate occasions. He's been recognized as one of the University of Florida's 40 Gators under 40. He is a member of 100 Black Men of Metropolitan St. Louis and a life member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Oh, I was waiting to hear a little something extra, okay. But he lives by the motto, to whom much is given, much is required. So can you all please join me in welcoming Kelly and Brent to the stage.
All right. Oh. How y'all doing? They look good.
They do.
They look good.
This is a great looking audience. And it's good to see some familiar faces.
Absolutely.
And we were talking about this. We've been doing this for the past 3 years.
3 years. Yep.
3 years we've been doing this. Thank you, Cicely, for that wonderful introduction. We want to thank the Missouri History Museum for their ongoing support and partnership with 5 On Your Side to make this possible to have this event every year. You know, you came out on what was the coldest morning of the year. So you guys are diehard, and you know, you have a love for the arts, obviously, and you're here to support Black history, and the museum the Missouri History Museum, and also the future and current artists of St. Louis.
Let's give them a
thank
round
you
of
so
applause.
much.
Yep. All right, so you guys are fortunate to be, let's break the ice a little bit. Turn to somebody next to you and say, you look good. Do it, go. I heard some of the guys were like, you could tell the guy, you know, you cool, bro, we cool. So listen, you guys are fortunate to be our live audience tonight because we are streaming on the 5+ app. So what that means, some folks are looking like, what are you talking about, the app? So what that means is you can play this back at any time. So if your friends or your family didn't make it tonight, they can watch it and participate in our panel. You just download the free app. It's called 5+.
Yes, so you can see it at any time.
Yep.
We are here tonight to celebrate Black joy, the arts in the St. Louis community. And we are joined by a dynamic and diverse group of artists representing everything from writing to music to dance, spoken word, everything, and visual art. So get ready for a night of lively conversation and really some insight on how these St. Louis artists maneuver through our community.
Did you copy me with this burgundy dress? I'm just curious.
I did.
Yeah,
We actually called each other and said, "What are you wearing?"
All right, I was just curious. All right, I'm going to take executive privilege and say we have two producers in the building. Sonia Potter, just raise your hand high. She's not raising it high. She doesn't like the attention. There she is. And Susie Herman, just raise your hand. And the reason I'm asking them to raise their hand is because they've been so essential in the success of this program, as well as the photojournalists from 5 on Your Side.
Yes.
Now, with that said, some of you have filled out this to ask a question. You might have a question of the panel, and maybe you didn't get a chance to fill it out. If there's a burning question in your heart and you say, I really want that asked, just go up to one of them and give them your question, and they'll get it to us. All right? All right. What do you want to do now?
Let's get started. We need to meet this dynamic group.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Why don't we start with Michael Ash? Michael Ash, raise your hand. Yes, sir. So Michael Ash is a contemporary urban artist whose passion for art ignited the moment he could hold a crayon. A featured artist in the legendary House of Miles, which is the home of the iconic Miles Davis.
That's right.
Anybody heard of that? Him? Michael's roots run deep in East St. Louis. His ultimate dream is to open his own art gallery in the very community that inspired his journey. And I think you can do it, brother.
Yes,
you
sir.
guys think he can do
100%.
it? Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, give it up for Lamar Harris. A trombonist, DJ, and creative who founded the band Georgia May in honor of his grandma. From performing with icons like Sheila E., Nelly, and Terrence Blanchard to spinning the turntables with Ludacris, Babyface, and New Edition, and more, Lamar's impressive credentials are endless. He's also a member of the 100 Black Men of St. Louis, which Brent is also a member of, and the brains behind the Art of Arts career fair.
Ladies and gentlemen, meet Yvonne Osei from Ghana. Yvonne is a multidisciplinary artist who masterfully blends performance art, video, photography, textile design, and more. Her work explores race, gender equality, colonialism, and untold stories. An award-winning artist who's exhibited nationally and internationally, Yvonne also serves as vice president of the Surface Design Association, which is a global group championing textile and fiber arts. Yvonne Osei.
Let's meet Robert Poe. A professional dancer with 21 years of moves under his belt. His passion for dance education has led him to teach for dance academies, to professional companies, and universities across the St. Louis region. As the artistic director and co-founder of Ballet 314, Robert is on a mission to celebrate talent, bring literacy through the arts to the forefront, creating a bridge for the arts in St. Louis. Robert Poe.
We've got Stefan Riggins in the building. Stefan, stand up. Stefan is a musical artist, a songwriter, and a singer, and a proud St. Louisan. He uses his creativity to challenge perspectives and to evoke emotion. Through his music, he hopes to spark meaningful conversations where every note and lyric is not wasted, but carries a message. Stefan Riggins.
Next, we have Tracy T. Spirit Stanton. Who brought her own fan club with her. She is an award-winning spoken word artist, community organizer, and peacemaker, using her poetry to drive personal and societal change. A founding member of Freedom Community Center, T-Spirit is working to end violence with a movement of survivors. Featured in several local and national publications, Tracy's true honor lies in the impact that she leaves on others. T-Spirit.
Tiela Taylor. Tiela is a dance powerhouse from St. Charles, Missouri, with over a decade of experience as a teacher and director. The proud founder of Tart Techniques and Entertainment, Tiela's impact spans major events, including the BET Awards. As a choreographer and dancer, she's vowed to make sure audiences see her work at the Muni, the Fabulous Fox, and beyond. While her professional successes are impressive, she considers her biggest achievement to be her 3 children.
And last, and certainly not least, we have Alicia Rouvet-Like. Alicia is an actor, singer, songwriter, and theater artist. Her storytelling talent has led her to collaborate with the St. Louis Symphony, the Muni, the Black Rep, Coca, and more. A Theater Circle Award winner for supporting actress in a drama, Alicia has also written and composed music, dropping an album last year, and she's working on another this year.
So part of our theme here is joy. We're celebrating Black joy. And I looked up the meaning. We all know what joy means, but I wanted to see precisely how do the scholars define joy. And it's described simply as, quote, a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. Does anybody have joy when they think of Blackness? I know I do. And so that's what we're celebrating and discussing through dialogue tonight. Is that all right, my friends? All right, so let's begin with our first panelist. And in a minute, we're going to learn more about them by seeing some of their work in action. But before that, let's have a conversation. Who wants to be first? Any, mini, miny, mo. Raise your hand if you want to be first. You want to be. Let's see if you are on my agenda here. All right, let's begin with, where are we beginning?
Let's just talk about Black joy.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you? Whoever wants to answer.
And what brings you joy?
That's a great question, actually. Joy, for me, is the feeling of being grateful with your existence. You know, and especially as, you know, Black people, you know, we live in a world where a lot of times we've been shunned, we've been put down, that, you know, there's nothing else for us to feel sometimes but the pain, and, you know, sometimes we don't acknowledge our own existence. And I think being grateful for our existence is that joy, that collective Black joy.
I like that. In other words, really, identifying with and celebrating what you see when you look in the mirror. I like it.
Yes. Who else would like to talk about Black joy?
I see you. Let's do it.
So I was, oh, you okay? Everything
Yeah, we're good. We're good over here.
Joy I think it's one of those things that gets interchanged with happiness, but they are not the same. I think joy is the thing that you are able to hold on to in the darkest moments. Happiness is fleeting. And so to be able to, similar to what you said, have this ability to celebrate, to dance, to sing, when literally the world is crashing around you. I mean, today, anybody? Like literally the things are falling apart, but somehow we are able to celebrate who we are, celebrate our family, celebrate our community, uplift each other. I think that's the thing that's joy.
I like that.
Yeah. And in relation to your careers, what brings that out of you? What brings the joy?
Yeah, I think.
Tracy?
Yeah, for me, I think about when I think about joy, I think about community. Right, I think that is so interchangeable because in order for me to be an artist, in order for my gifts to be witnessed, they have to be expressed in community, right? So like me in isolation, I have those gifts, but they're magnified and they're activated and they are honored and they are reverenced when I'm in community, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And going back to the first question, when I think about like our ability to breathe as Black people, our ability to be resourced internally and externally, our innovation, our ability to create in spite of and in addition to whatever is going on in the world is joy. And I think that like just looking at and being able to connect with a spirit of another person, whether that is walking down the hallway, walking down the street and looking at somebody in their soul, like in their eyes, that is a moment of joy for me, right? Also being able to create space where people can be vulnerable and be honest and be courageous enough to be themselves in a world that tells you you should be anything except for yourself. I think that is like, that invokes joy, and that's what I'm able to do with the art and being in community with folks. Yeah. You know what? See, listen, I'm gonna tell y'all now, my people gonna act a fool. I'm just gonna say that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
That's
that.
okay. We
It's
like
joy.
that. We like that.
Within reason, it's okay.
Yeah. Within reason.
Before we introduce a vignette and continue this talk of joy, we also want to know, how did you know when you wanted to pursue a career in the arts?
No, I would just pretty much say I was pretty much born to do it. I mean, as soon as I came out the womb, it was...
Literally when you're holding that crayon.
Yeah, literally. Like, as soon as I was able to start scribbling on anything, making any type of gesture with a pen, pencil, paint, I was doing it. So I just knew as soon as I came to this earth.
And did it take someone reinforcing that in you, saying, wait a minute, you've got skill here?
Oh, most definitely. Like, there was a lot of days where you just, not necessarily doubt yourself, but you just like, where is it going in life? Like, what's my next move? Like, do I need to get better? What do I need to do as a person? And just family members and everybody around you, clients, just telling you, hey, man, keep going. Just, we appreciate what you're doing. We like what you're doing.
You know what that tells me, too, the importance of really instilling in young people when we see something in them, because you never know what seed is being planted in a young child who has a skill.
Yes, and to reinforce that, but if you're constantly told, you know, you should pursue a position in math or be a nurse, which are great, honorable positions, but when you have that God-given talent, you know, you want to nurture that.
Sure.
The success and the cultivation of my talent and, you know, me pursuing the arts within, you know, the village of my community, of my brothers, my sisters, my family, my mentors in the crowd right now. Shout out to them. And
he's an alpha, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
I didn't hear you when she said he's a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. Do we need to run it back? Let's run it back. Brent Solomon's a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. All right.
You're like,
there we go. We can explain what all that means later. All right. Very good. Anything else?
Yes, and just when I was about 11 years old, I had my brother. He would be riding around in this car just listening to nothing but his music. Like, if it wasn't Drake, it was him, you know? And so he inspired me to know that it was possible to be able to create art. And just to have fun with it. And he gave me that sense of pride and joy in doing it.
And how old are you?
I'm 19.
So you're quite possibly maybe the youngest on the panel.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fantastic. I know you were around 3, right? When your mother, T, when she noticed that you had some talent by just dancing at home?
Yes, absolutely. I was going to speak up on that. My mother was the one who encouraged me when I was pregnant at 16 to continue on in dance, because I was a competition dancer. I was dancing locally. I was dancing within communities as well as Coca. But once I had that pregnancy, I felt like, I'm going to be a mother. I'm going to give up my career, and I'm just going to focus on my daughter. And my mother was like, absolutely not. She was like, you still be enrolled in your dance classes. You will still go and you will represent yourself. She's like, you have a God-given talent, and you're not going to give up on something like that. So if I didn't have my mother submitting me and pouring life into me and watching me blossom, then I would have never been up here on this panel. I would have never had the success that I had in my life without the community that I had just constantly feeding that positive life into me. Okay?
Yes, please.
Thank you for that. I definitely couldn't let this moment pass. So as a formerly incarcerated, directly impacted person, I do just want to acknowledge that there is a demographic of people all across the world that are artists and that are creatives, and they may never see the light of day again, right? And so they are in a place of turmoil, and they still find the ability to find some inklings of joy, and they still find the ability to create, right? So my gifts were really fortified and acknowledged when I was in Vandalia. Yeah, my first commissioned piece was like for women that were writing home to their children. Before I came home from prison, I had never stepped on a stage, and they reinforced and acknowledged my gift, and they told me, this is what you're going to do, right? So it was amplified behind bars and brought into the light with community, but it was activated there. So I just definitely couldn't pass this moment without saying that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. No matter where you are, there's always someone, whether it be a group of people, family, a friend, a young brother at 11 who saw that in you. There's always someone that's there to reinforce that.
So, key point, let's speak life into each other.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
Right, absolutely.
Yep. You're a great anchor, Kelly, by the way.
You are too, Brent. You are too. Well, we have produced some vignettes, 5 on your side, thanks to Doug Howell and Tom Stasiak. They are amazing photojournalists and editors. So we wanted to give you guys a better idea of who these artists are. So let's take a look at a few of these vignettes.
Yeah, just a few of them.
Through this passion of mine, I find fulfillment. I do it for the lives of children in my city so they can look at me and define resilience. I go by the name of Stefan Riggins. I'm 19 years old. I consider myself an all-around, artist. When it comes to poetry, when it comes to songwriting, and all things concerning music. If God is willing, these letters I write, I credit to life and moments molding dark nights of the soul into golden poetry spoken. Inspiration with art, which is the greatest of all to change hearts. I say to myself sometimes, man, that I created my own genre, and that is new era. Never underestimate a real artist. I go back to the days in Miller Park, remembering where it started and how I then came far, developing as an artist. Rounded, knowing I trained for hours, motivated before anyone gave us flowers. As it is written, so it shall come to fruition, spoken into an existent reality, manifested. My art comes from a multitude of things, the different experiences that I've had growing up in my life, from things that I see on the daily, joys, pleasures, passions that I may have, and really, ultimately, I feel like my work comes from God. Unaware most times of where this plan is headed, a path penned by the Creator who created me to be a creative, creating concepts that constantly call for conversation. I hope my music can be able to impact people's lives, to be able to help them be introspective within themselves and question their reality, question the things that's going on within their world, and make some type of change or be the change that they want to see in the world. And ideas that ovulate, giving birth to brighter days and higher aims in the hood. Dedicated to my homies in the tracks. Know I love you still, though we don't really interact. Sincerely yours.
My name is Tiela Taylor, and I am a professional dance artist and director. Going to college, studying into dance, and really finding any opportunity I can to move. How I moved, it grew within the dance church house. Being the vessel for the congregation and ministering through movement is really the mission of Praise Dance. It's just innate and it's inside of my soul, and that's what really propels me to just continue on to use my art and the gift that I've been given to positively influence communities as well as other people and just heal with art. That's my mission, to heal with art. I know that I was put here to heal through movement, and I'm gonna do my best that I can to make that possible. I want it to be inclusive, and I want it to be able to touch people in a way that they can relate in any capacity. Hopefully through my movement, it can inspire people to find that relief in themselves.
My name is Ivana Sai. I'm a multidisciplinary artist based in St. Louis, but living in Chicago at the moment. My art really began when I was really little. I grew up in the Guinean culture, and in Ghana, art is really imbued in so many things. The way we greet each other, how people dress, in the architectural landscapes. My art addresses issues of race, gender inequality, colonialism. I'm really interested in untold histories or distorted histories. So I use my art as a platform to communicate from my own perspective. And the hope is to get people to have critical dialogue and transformation through that creative process. I want to cause discomfort, but also comfort. I welcome these oxymorons of whether it's giving off pain or joy, or it's addressing issues of equality or inequality, or questioning those things. I think it's important for those oxymorons to live in my visual art work. And so the idea is to disrupt assumptions, to ignite curiosity, and to inspire action. That's what I think my job as an artist is.
And I want you to expand on that, because I loved all of these vignettes and learned so much from all of you. And Yvonne, you said that you wanted to cause discomfort and comfort. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I think you can't really understand the full scope of joy without understanding that it's both defiance and love. And it's important, and that's why I kind of resonated with a lot of what you all said, that it's about community, it's about existence, it's about space, and understanding that in its totality. I think that joy should come from a place where you can stand and speak your truth, and you can't really do that always in love. If you look at Black history, you look at the life of MLK, of all of the great Black people that have fought for our freedom, they were practicing both love and resilience. So it's making me think of that even more now, that there is a level of defiance to joy, and that's necessary too.
Yeah, the resistance of the civil rights movement, absolutely. Tiela, now you dance to For Every Mountain, right?
Yes.
And we all know it in the Black church, when the choir is singing real good, that's one of those songs where everybody in the church is standing up by the end of the song, because it feeds your spirit, right? So you said it's not just about your art, but it's about healing. So in other words, I have skill. You want to see it? No, it's not just that. It's that and more. Talk about that.
It's about healing yourself as well as healing the others around you. I always tell my students, whenever we talk about self-care in particular, I say you heal yourself, you heal your family, then you heal your community, then we can attack the world. Then we can heal the world. So there really is so much art in artistry. The healing aspect to it is just so spectacular, especially between the Black church, like we had mentioned former, the duality of joy being also the despair, coming together on that commonality and really just using the community to hear each other out, heal each other, and benefiting off of the arts while we're doing that. And who knows, just knowing that dance, Black people are just so amazing. It's just,
say it again, say it
Black
again.
people are so amazing.
For the people in the back, say it a third time.
Black people are so amazing.
Black people are so amazing. I said it too.
No, seriously, especially all of these beautiful people up here, it's just the fact that we can come together through art, singing, dancing, artistry, spoken word, music, and we all utilize that as a community together, that security of us coming together and just really being able to heal each other through that, that's just so beautiful, you know, so.
I like what she said about, as an artist, it heals her first. Would you all agree that your art is healing for yourself first? I get it. All right.
Yes. Let's, I'm going to talk to Stefan. Who are some of the greats who have inspired you? Because you mentioned that, but I want to know who specifically.
Well, that is an amazing question. So
Thank you.
It's yeah, of course, my pleasure. And it spans from those of Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. These are civil rights activists, but people like D'Angelo, Lauryn Hill, those are people who stood against the system or have things that they were talking about in their music, which, you know, spark, you know, consciousness, and it was very thought-provoking. And so those are some of the greats. People like Langston Hughes, people like Alan Locke. You have those different Harlem Renaissance leaders and figures. They inspired my work and even drive my vision and my purpose for what I do.
19 years old.
I know. It's hard for me to wrap my head around that you're only 19.
Let me ask you this, though, since he hit on the greats in history who really inspired action, do any of you feel like your work today is somehow prompting some type of action?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I hope all the things I do inspire some kind of action, right? Art is made to be shared, and then once it is shared, what do the people do with it? So they can either just be like, oh, that was a great experience, or it can cause them to think and have conversations about things. So I think, yeah, I mean, y'all are nodding, so I'm not gonna speak for y'all, but I'm gonna say that we're on the same page. That, there's intention behind it, whether it's a script, we're looking at the story and how people are going to leave afterwards. We can't control that, but we can offer them a call to action at the end of it all.
Yeah, I think that's what, I'll just piggyback. I think that's what makes art so powerful, is that it is a beast of its own, and it has a life of its own.
Yes.
To foster change, to cause people to think critically or differently, to take up space in a way, or live in a way that you didn't even intend for it to. I think that's what's so profound about, different forms of art in general.
Let me add on to that with you for a moment. In your vignette, you said you want to disrupt assumptions. What do you mean?
I mean, history has been written and seen in a certain light for so long that it's important as an artist to speak my truth and to represent people that look like me. It's important to be seen through art. It's important to be remembered. And to decide on how people remember you, that's huge as an artist. You are reconstructing and re-narrating and reintroducing yourself in so many different ways. And I think that's the disruption. It's not just that I'm getting to do it for myself, but it's that you also should join me in doing that for you and your people as well.
But what's the assumption that's being disrupted?
So my work specifically deals with racism. It deals with colorism, colonialism. And so when you look at my Guinean culture, Ghana has been, our history has been written in a certain type of way. A typical example is when I was growing up, my own culture was, I was taught that the person that discovered Ghana was a man called Diego de Azambuja from Portugal. But I was not really thought about what existed before Diego de Azambuja landed in Ghana, sure. Right? So that's the kind of change that my art is to pose that question that, what existed before Diego de Azambuja, right? What existed before Christopher Columbus, right? Those are the questions that are poignant that art can reach, and that's kind of what I tease through my art. But that's just one aspect.
I get it. Challenge what you think you know.
Right.
And I know you wanted to, please, speak. Yes.
I was just reminded when talking about disruption and making audiences gently uncomfortable, we'll say, I'm reminded about one of the ballets that Ballet 314 produced back in 2021, I think it was. It was called Ragtime, The American Experience. And it was a ballet based off of the novel by E.L. Del Toro. There's a musical, there's a movie. And the first time I ever heard the soundtrack, I was just like, it transformed me. I didn't even know anything about the musical. I thought it was fantastic and beautiful. And I was like, this has to be a story, not necessarily with spoken word, but how could this be adapted into a dance adaptation? And so I did it. And I remember audience members coming up afterward and talking about how they had just never seen anything like that in a ballet setting. Because when we think of ballet, we think point shoes, we think white tutus, we think tall, skinny, light skin, we think female. And yes, there were elements of that in there, but people were like, I don't think I would have ever gone to a ballet thinking that this was what I was going to see. I feel like I saw almost like a silent film. I saw something that was relatable. I saw something that made me I was sobbing by the end of it. These people are coming up to me and telling me about their experiences, and I realized this is part of what transformation looks like. It's allowing people to say, yeah, this is the art that you think it is. This is what ballet is. And then I'm showing them, and I'm not the only one, this is also what ballet can encompass, this is what it could be, and this is who can also do this art form versus who we thought were able to do it.
Which is kind of what I want to, go ahead.
Yeah. So I think, because I'm like, contain it, no. So just looking at this, right, we're thinking about like the black being for the people, the blood, the red being for the blood, the green being for the land, and the gold being for, the yellow being for the gold that has been stolen. So when we're talking about like the assumptions and all of those things and disrupting, we're talking about joy, we have to talk about the reason why black people, joy has been minimized and has been ripped, and the despair that we're dealing with is because of white, hetero, patriarchal, colonialism, fascism, imperialism, and all of the isms, right?
All of the things.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, all of the isms. So our role as an artist, like Amari Baraka said, and like James Baldwin said, is to disturb the peace. And for me, it's not like slightly, it is very boldly and in your face, like creating discomfort and uncomfortability. Like that's my role as an artist. Amari Baraka said, it's our role to raise the collective consciousness of the world. If you're not doing that, what else are you doing, right? So like as a community organizer, a grassroots organizer that uses my art in direct actions, right? So actually a part of campaigns where we're using the words, we're using the movement, we're using all of the things, and we're creating strategies for us to dismantle the systems of oppression that are squashing us so that we can't have joy. You know what I'm saying? So that it is fleeting and it's not as accessible internally and externally. You understand what I'm saying? And so like going back to what the sister said, I was in Ghana. I walked through, I'm actually from the Mindi tribe in Sierra Leone. I did a trace because I wanted to know my heritage and my roots beyond what they're telling us, right? And so once we have that knowledge and that experience, it is our responsibility to bring that to the people and to use art as a tool. A tool is a device that is utilized for a function. And so the function is to break all this stuff down, okay? You understand what I'm saying? I got it. I see the babies. I got it. To break all of this stuff down and build it up. And I'm talking about the systems that have to be broken down and built up are internally. So central nervous system, as well as the system that we are encountering and combating every day. So I'm just saying. So that's what I have to say. Okay, I'm done. Okay, I'm just saying. We drink a little bit of water here.
When is your next show so we can all catch it?
Yes. So, speaking of that, since you gave me the caveat, I do have a platform called Some Things Must Be Heard, Spitting and Politicking, where I feature a community organizer that is actively speaking truth to power and healing to the heart. And I also feature a spoken word artist that is doing the same thing. And it's on Sunday, this Sunday. Yes, it is. I have flyers outside, Too Much Sauce, and I'm also part of another
Very
project.
good. Thank you for that, my friend.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to, we have to introduce a vignette, so maybe I'll ask this question afterwards.
All right.
Well, I'll have you think about it, but art can be huge, but it can also be small. And, you know, depending on what your art is, you could be the lone person or you can be in a room full of dancers. So I want to know what your experience has been when you've been the only one or introducing your art to people who have not experienced something like that. So just think about that.
Let that marinade as we sit back and watch a few more vignettes.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and. My name is Lamar Harris. I am a trombonist, brass player, DJ, and creative from St. Louis, Missouri. I have a big band called the Georgia May, which is named after my grandmother, and it is one of the things that quietly reminds me about why I do music is just for the love of it. Music is just a way of just expressing the things that I hear inside of my head and feel inside of my heart. I believe that all sound is music, whether it be silence, whether it be brass, whether it be lyrics, and it's just a way of just expressing just how you really feel. I enjoy the process of just creating good music, whether it be for dance, whether it be for theater, whether it be in any genre of music that I just feel that resonates with me in that moment in time. And when we're on stage, we're just trying to just get people just to, I call it, come to your happy place. You know, problems and everything is gonna always be there in the world, but when we're here performing and you have the music just flowing, just let it just be natural for you and just relieve your problems there for a moment and just get inside of what's happening right then and there inside of the sounds. That's what we want people to do.
Our roots are embedded in excellence. The root word of excellence is excelar, meaning lift or surpass, and it's evident that we have surpassed any marks or whether past a class system. Our Black excellence is class. My name is Tracy T. Spirit Stanton. I am an unrestricted multidisciplinary artist who primarily uses the transformative power of spoken word poetry. We be main characters and never stand-ins on the set like scenes on movie screens. All night flight, all our life, we be screenwriters and proactors. When I think about what it is to be a spoken word artist, I think about the responsibility of and legacy of the people that came before me, right? So it is using word as a tool to enact personal and societal change. The acquisition of self-knowledge to pay homage to the ancestors is being proactive, no casting call needed at all. Deeply grounded and rooted in like lineage and oral tradition. So to me, it's like definitely connected to the divine source of wisdom and intelligence of all things. A little bit of patience and a whole lot of not to be played with. Our presence makes statements like move, accents thick. When I read the poetry that I put together, I wanted to activate people. I wanted to activate the maybe like the dormant aspects of themselves. From rich lands where gifted hands tilled rich soils, pour libations, birth babies, nations, and whole civilizations. It's for personal, but for societal transformation. So like the same thing that you do with policy, like you create change, that's what my poetry does. See, Black is not just a color, it's a culture that we created, and our feet beat streets and pound pavement for liberation, but our existence existed before enslavement. Black excellence.
Boom, boom, boom. First and then second. My name is Robert Poe, and I've been a dancer for the past 20 years and a director for the past 6 years. I've been dancing in the style of ballet since I was a child, and I also trained in tap dance, jazz dancing, modern dance, and even took a few West African classes and some hip hop as well in there. Very, very few. But mainly my first love in movement was ballet because I thought the music was beautiful and I thought that movement was the most fantastic thing I had ever discovered. It gives me a sense of discipline and structure that I think I crave, but there's also such a beautiful freedom because it is a medium of expression. Put a little weight on your back foot and then you start your drop. Movement in general is something that gives me joy alongside music. I find that when I'm choreographing, I oftentimes start with a soundtrack or something, some sort of soundscape, and that eventually shapes start to come to my brain, and then my body starts finding those shapes and creating them. And I think for me, it's always been the combination of music and movement that just gives me such a profound joy. And then now you open to your second, boom, boom, boom. This is your preparation for your Ande Dan. I feel like we do walk around with a lot of stress and tension in our everyday lives, and I think that one thing that dance can help give us is a release from that, and you can then have a bit more empathy and patience for everyone. Shake, 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 yeah. And then just for the sake.
Hey.
I don't know about you, but I don't feel as stressed now when he was talking about the release stressors dance.
Yeah, we've got some talent on the panel.
I know,
Do you
it makes
agree?
me so proud to see all of you and what you do. It really does.
So you had a question, and I thought it was very relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And did it marinate? Did you get a chance? Do you want to ask again?
Yeah, I'm just saying that, you could often be the only one. You could be in a room of dancers or musicians, or you could be a lone painter. How, when you were the only one and breaking through into your careers, how did you do it? Yes.
So with being in classical ballet as one of my forms that I trained in, I was oftentimes the only black male in the room, many times the only brown human in the entire building. I was very aware of that. And I will say I was still fortunate enough to be in spaces where, I don't know if it's fortunate, it was what it was, where I didn't see the overt, is it macroaggressions we would call them? Like nobody was ever so obvious to me to say something like, oh, you can't do that, you won't be considered for this role or whatnot. But I learned to realize, going back to in the video, of just like my own body posture, I danced with such tension in my body, and I was trying to fit into a narrative that I didn't even know I was trying to fit into until I started being surrounded by other people that looked like me, and I saw how our bodies moved, and I was like, wait a minute, I can do this. It may not look quite like that, but it looks like this, and that's fantastic. How can I work that in? And so now moving forward to in a place where I'm still dancing, but I'm now in a place of responsibility as a director and whatnot, that I've been realizing that one of my biggest goals is to create a space where people understand what is the standard, how do you fit into that, and as you're on your journey toward that standard, you're still worthy while you work yourself toward that. If you fail, when you fail, because you're going to, and that excellence comes in a multitude of shades. And I know ballet has not taught me that. I had to teach myself that, if that makes sense. So now with everything that I do, every student that I am in front of, every professional that I coach, I try to imbue them with that idea that, hey, I mean, there's still a standard. We're all going to go for excellence, but like your excellence is going to look different, and that's fantastic, right?
Was that your goal when you were a dancer? You were saying, okay, when I'm doing I can't even think of many dance terms. I'm like, I'm going to own my own company, so I won't feel the way I'm feeling right now.
I don't think I even knew that. I never wanted my own company. I didn't even dream that. I didn't know how to dream that big. I was just like, I just want to dance, and I want to, but then life happened. And, when the path is laid before you, you have to walk on it. And I've just been walking forward. And then things came around to make this happen. And so, like I said, with this responsibility that I have, people's careers in my hands, that's no laughing matter, right? Like we've got to raise artists that understand their worth, they understand work, they understand joy, they understand that this is a landscape where you can toil and you can play in a safe space.
Yes.
Tracy, you mentioned being unapologetic about what you do and how you do it.
Yeah.
And I think in many ways that kind of goes in hand with what you were saying about sometimes the standard needs to be expanded.
Yeah. Yeah, I also want to like acknowledge that it wasn't always like that. You know what I'm saying? That I did have to work towards that. I had to work towards just even my own identity and who I am as a human being outside of what socialization and European standards and all of those things told me I should be. You know what I'm saying? So the process to becoming unapologetic, I had to go through a lot of internal transformation, and community was actually like a staple to help me to develop who I was, the learning, the acknowledgement, the decolonization, right? And then the building my own like internal infrastructure, as well as learning more about my history and where I come from and the cultural things that we do without knowledge because it's just activated internally, right? So there was a long spectrum before I got to the unapologetic, but once I got there, and it felt so good, right? One of my, I'm still healing. One of my guilty pleasures is to make people uncomfortable in certain settings, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like my people have been uncomfortable all their life. So, you know what I'm saying? So now that I have the courage, right, and the ability to, and the capability and the willingness, it is my responsibility to speak for all of the little Tracys, all of the little people around the world, that to inform them that one day you are going to be able to look yourself in the mirror and be proud. You know what I'm saying?
And how recent did that happen for you?
Yeah, I came home from prison in 2017, and it still took me 2 years before I got on the stage. And when I used to get on the stage, I used to go, and then run and say the poem and run off the stage, and just drop the mic, because I literally had to be like, force myself to do that. I remember, I wear this bald head proud now, but I remember, when I first cut my hair off, it was not like, yay, I'm cutting my hair off. It was me saying, I'm going to do this so I can learn to love myself in my Africanness more, right? So it was the same thing with poetry. So after 2019, when I jumped out and I got out there, and then COVID was like, boom, go sit down, right? COVID was like, boom, go sit down. And I was doing virtual platforms, and I knew I had a gift, but the way that the community affirmed it were no, you gotta, you're special, right? No, you have something for real. And so when it opened back up, the people, Poet Lightning, a lot of the artists in the St. Louis scene, again, bear witness to my gifts and activated. And so it was next thing I know, I was going on the stage and I was like, I'm here, and so that in combination with doing work to advocate for people that are currently or formerly incarcerated, or people that are living on the margins, or queer Black people, because when we're talking about love and joy, we have to talk about the people that everyone, even sometimes within our own community, suffocates and says that your existence doesn't mean as much as mine, right? So fighting for all of them has been a spectrum, but I would say 2020, I was like, yeah.
We glad you made it. Made it to the other side.
Yeah. Lamar, let's talk about your music, and I love that you named your band after your grandmother, Georgia May. I love that. You said that all sound is music, even silence. Can you explain that?
It's a very layered type of thing when you think about it. I mean, if we sit and we just ponder over certain things, sometimes we're always quick to just jump around and we need some type of noise going. But when you sit still and you just sit, you can be able to focus on the mission, which if I could piggyback off your original question, I think a lot of times, some of us are just able to do what we do because of God. And just understanding the mission at hand. Sometimes you have to be the spook by the door to be able to give people the opportunity to be able to open up and do things. The one thing that I think a lot of times artists get flack about is, it's a hobby. It's a passion project. This is my job. This is how I get paid. And in order to be able to create those type of opportunities, somebody has to make sure the door is held open and that opportunities exist along with the money. It's not enough to just come and just shuck and dance across the stage for free. You know, you making money, I need to make mine too. So sometimes we have to be able just to understand the mission. And part of being able to understand the mission is knowing when to talk and when to sit in silence, as it affects the music in general. The music is anything that I wanted and needed to be for that particular moment in time. It's a timestamp. But it's a design to be able to sit there and not necessarily just for me to walk through the door, but also to bring the other people that are coming behind. St. Louis and Missouri as a whole has a lot of talented artists, journalists. I mean, journalists don't even get the respect, in my opinion, that they really truly deserve. You know, think about how much time it takes for you to go and research a story. Even though you have notes, you still have to go and look at this, look at that, analyze this. It's the same thing for artists, and the same thing whether you are a dancer, musician, actress, whatever it is, you still have to put the time in there. So we have to be able to make sure that we understand what it is that we're doing and be able to create those opportunities.
I think we did a good job with this panel, by the way. Don't you think?
Absolutely. Thank you, Missouri History Museum, for that. Yes.
I do want to take one of these questions from the audience. And remember, Sonia's standing back there, so if you have a burning question, let her know. She'll let us know. But this audience member, and any of you can chime in, what specifically about your blackness inspires or motivates you?
I would say the long line of history of people in, you know, the black community and, you know, all over around the world. Just the long line history of their impact on humanity, their challenging the system, their vocalness, and just being able to know that I am a living representation of all those who came before me. And so that is what I am so proud of as an artist, but as a black person, man, knowing like I am a descendant from the Black Panthers, of the UNIA, of, you know, SNCC, of different movements that have shook, as T-Spirit says, you know, the collective consciousness of the world. You know, that inspires me as an artist to know that I am in this space of time for a reason, to continue the mission of the Malcolms and the Martins and the Marcus Garveys and the Langston Hughes and all those, you know, great leaders who paved the way for us.
I love that answer. Mm-hmm. There's a, you can give him the, give it to him. It reminds me of one of my favorite quotes, and don't ask me who said it. Maybe you can Google it when I say it, but but the quote simply says, if I stand tall. So if you're flipping through the channel and you see this black guy who talks okay and may look somewhat handsome and knows what he's talking about, and you say, I like him, if I stand tall, the quote says, it's because I stand on the shoulders of those who came before me. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think you're saying in so many words.
Yes. We're going to go to another vignette, but I also want to throw out this question so you guys can think about this and what advice you would give for even the next generation of artists, because I'm sure the term struggling artist is real, right? Okay, so think about that. So let's look at our next vignette.
My name is Michael Ash. I am an urban contemporary artist based out of East St. Louis, Illinois. I was born an artist, like literally. Like I've always had a pencil, some type of instrument in my hand that can create. Like that's what my mom has spoke on me, parents, grandparents, everybody. So I was born an artist and I've just graduated throughout life, just being an artist. And I just always had that fire and desire to keep going. The fire I talk about is passion. It's being engulfed in my art to the point where it starts to take on its own life. And I have to figure out things to stay young and stay creative and stay healthy throughout my artist journey. My message I always try to inspire is, I said it, is inspire, but mainly inspired to create and stay youthful and stay motivated to keep doing what you love to do, your passion, because that's all you have in life to keep you moving. I've learned that as an artist, you have to be intentional. So a lot of what I'm doing is intentional, and hopefully I can convince you to see that that's what I was feeling, that's the emotions I was aiming for. I mainly express myself through my work, and mainly through my artwork. That's how I talk and get my point across, what I'm trying to perceive to the universe.
Hi, I'm Alicia Reve-Like. I am a singer, songwriter, theater artist, and self-professed unicorn. Yeah, so 13 I think was a pivotal year. That's when I looked to my mom and was like, hey girl, I think I can really sing. Here I go again, frozen still and I'm sinking. And then shortly after that, just went ahead and studied music in college at the University of Missouri in Columbia. And before I knew it, I looked up, I was like, oh, this is my job. I wish I could turn my mind off. Audition for one thing, audition for another thing, and you keep booking, and then you realize, oh, I've been in this for about 5 years. This is what I do now. Now I'm working with Opera Theater St. Louis. So it's been a roller coaster, but a good roller coaster. We get to go on a ride together, like with Black Coffee. We're talking about friendship, which is not common for opera, but it is common for life. How do we make friends? How do we keep friends? Where are the ones that come and pick me up when I have a flat tire? Like, these are the relationships we're talking about. I am very privileged to get to do this work. But it is because I lean into the fact that I'm just a human just like everybody else. I'm not special. I just write about it and then share it with other people and they get to relate to it.
So yes, you are special, young lady. All of you are on this stage. You said you feel privileged to do this work.
Yeah. You see, I'm getting comfortable now.
We want you to.
I'm very privileged to do this work. I think there are so many people who are creative and they sit on it. Oh. And we have been bold enough to say, like, there actually is no other option for us. Like, this is part of how we breathe, how we move. And if we were forced to do another job, one, we probably wouldn't be that successful. And we would be bouncing around. And also, let me speak on this, that when I say I'm not special, it is because we so often in society put creatives into a celebrity space and then uplift them as if they don't experience life like the rest of us. Like, we got bills to pay, okay? Eggs are high for us. Do you know what I'm saying? But like, we want to be viewed as human, not just like entertainment puppets. We're not here just to, put a smile on your face for the right now.
Lamar hit on that earlier.
Yeah, exactly. We should be recognized as humans and not just like servicers to mankind.
Good stuff.
Go ahead, Lamar.
That kind of piggybacks off your question about advice for as like young and up and coming artists. You have to run this like a business. You have to get up and you have to plan. If you say you want to be successful, you want to be on TV, you want to be on the moon, wherever it is, you have to do business stuff. There should be an admin day to send out emails, plan, strategize. Nothing gets done really without a plan. You have to have a plan. And the more that you start running the art as a business, you start seeing the results of it. It still doesn't take away from you enjoying what you do, but you're just making sure that you can survive to be able to feed yourself and your family. But you have to run it like a business. Take some business classes, go and do some research, study and meet some of the artists, networking. In order to be able to develop a community, you have to get out and network. You want people to go to your show, you have to go to other people's shows, figure out what they're doing, and make it make sense and make it financially make sense for you.
I think we can stay in this realm a little more with advice for the next generation of artists.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's also important to make space for yourself. I remember when I was done with my MFA in 2016. I can't believe it's been that long. But I was
Masters of Fine Arts, for those of you who may not know. All right.
I was like, oh my gosh, like, what am I gonna do? So what I did was, I realized that, trying to knock on the doors of galleries and museums is not gonna cut it. It's gonna take a while. You're gonna have to court them, and they're gonna have to love your work. So I took to the streets. I started making work for public. And one thing that's so fascinating about making work outdoors is that you operate at your own time. You have free audience, right? And it's almost like this raw experimental space. And I think that that's what allowed me to grow. And now, when you have that kind of passion and you're so on fire for what you love, people recognize that, and the galleries and museums will come.
Which brings me to this question. I'm not sure if all of you can remember, like, who gave you your first big break? Who bought your first painting? Who, went to your first show? Who?
I guess my thought is, what even is a big break, right?
Right.
This might make sense in a minute. Recently, I was in California at the NAMM conference listening to John Batiste speak, and they were asking him about, like, you've reached this level, you've reached this level. And he's like, to reach a level means I'm always chasing something. I don't need to chase anything. Like, where I need to be, where God wants me to be is where I am. I'm not late, I'm not early. Because God is always on time, so therefore I am on time, if that makes sense. So it's like, did somebody give me a break? Yeah, people were nice. Shout out to the church. That's where the first solo was sung. But just level after level has been, like you said, like knocking on doors, going to the street, like doing the work. So it's not like anything that I've earned has been just like handed to me. All of that has been worked for.
I think that's what, people may see on social media, Instagram or whatever the other apps are.
TikTok.
Yeah, thank you. TikTok.
Snapchat.
Yes. They see these artists or singers, and they have millions or hundreds of thousands of followers. And there might be a few that really are able to get it big, but for the average artist, I would think there's a long road to reach that pinnacle.
Yeah, and if I may add to what you were saying, it's about what is your definition of success. For me, my definition of success is just being able to do what I love on whatever scale, being able to express myself, because, and we talk about joy, and I feel like a lot of times in our community, we feel depression, but I feel like depression is really just, that lack of expression of, our soul. And, a lot of people, they live these lives, we were talking about, like, just imagine this. Imagine Prince was a janitor or something like that. He never actually actualized his gift. He just became a janitor because, people said, oh, yeah, you can't do that, or you're not, that talented, And so it's just like, for us, as artists, we have to just enjoy every step of the way. Like, that's for me. Like, just being on this panel right now is just presence. Each step has led to where I'm at right now, and I don't think that it's one place that I strive to be. I think that it's just being able to do what I love on a continuous scale, because this is my life,
And I think it also allows you to bask in the moment, right? And when you reach one level of success, that can exist in what it is, and you don't feel the need to compete to necessarily outdo this moment again.
Yeah,
you bask in your greatness as it is.
Yeah, you can stay grounded doing that.
Yeah. I saw you, Tiela.
To say, piggybacking on the question that you had, what would you like to say to inspire the youth? I would like to say something to inspire all ages. It is never too late. That is the thing. It is never too late, especially for my parents. As an independent mother myself of 3, it is never too late. Find your community, stand your ground, what you are going for, the purpose that you have, the success that you envision, whatever age that may be, whatever disciplinary you have, and whatever medium you may cross, you can succeed in it.
That's my motto. I always say it's never too late to surprise yourself. It really isn't. Yeah.
I think that a lot of times, I mean, for me, I don't necessarily see art as this career that you can turn off and turn on. Mm-hmm. It's every part of your being, especially, using my body, myself, in my work and, growing with the work. So I think of it more as life, and that's kind of the word that you ended on. That it's. I don't think it's, for me, it's not possible to switch it off and switch it on like a career, that 9 to 5 that you go to. It's a continuous, everyday, you and your work. So.
But someone mentioned that being a hobby. And how I'm sure you have encountered maybe even family members, oh, this is just a hobby, it's going to pass. Have you run into that situation?
Yeah. Let me add on to that. Mr. Ash, I heard you say in your vignette, this is not just me doing this, I'm intentional about what I'm doing. It takes intention to do this. And what do you mean?
I basically mean like, when you put your feet on the ground and that's your purpose in life, like knowing what your purpose is and getting up every day to achieve those goals, even if the goal was to just get some snow out the driveway today, that's that little goal that's getting accomplished. And I just try to be persistent in everything I do.
I get that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Anyone want to weigh in on that as well? About having intention in what you do?
For sure, to have intention in your work. I feel like us all as artists, underlining, we want ourselves to be expressed. We want our experience and our existence to be acknowledged. And so, I feel like with every artist, that's the case. We have to have some type of purpose to, keep us going. And that simply, the purpose is I love to create. I want to create. This is, like I was saying before, this is my life. So there's really no other choice.
I get it.
Yes.
When I think about just the word intention and what I do specifically, Maya Angelou talked about in one of her interviews, she talked about like words are things. They are alive, right? They literally change the molecular structure of your body. This energy exchange that we're all having right here, right now, right? And so you could be having a great, beautiful, amazing day and someone comes in with a word and shifts the whole trajectory of your day.
That's true.
So as a person that uses words to activate, to incite, to all of the things, ignites all of the ites, right? All of the isms, all the lights. Then like being very intentional about the ways in which that I use those words, because I know the power that they have, and I know the power that it can activate in someone else, right? So we think about like what is dormant inside of us, whether that is the pain, whether that is the joy, whether that is the wisdom, whether that is evoking the spirit of the ancestors. So being very intentional about that, and then keeping on that, the continuum of that intentionality, which is being engaged in my art every day, being engaged in a practice that is circulating around my art every day, being engaged in community every day, and being able to activate that. And that is like, if it's me and my friend laying and rolling around on my floor like we did yesterday, or that it is on the panel, like being very intentional with the understanding of, I was gifted with an ability to change, shift, enact, and empower, right? But also that same intentionality can create harm. So understanding that, because it has to our community, right? Because it has so much with our community. So through our art that has been stolen and robbed from us and assimilated and commodified and then sold back to us and all of those things. So being very intentional with being resistant with that and harnessing it and owning it, right? And then showing the next generation that while I am special, because we all are unique, I am no different from you, right? So like when you're looking at celebrities on the TV, that you're a celebrity sitting in front of the TV watching a celebrity. You understand what I'm saying? So like, yeah. So being very intentional with knowing and understanding that, and then also a lot of artists create from a place of pain,
yes,
of agony, of despair, right? And being able to release that, have that cathartic release, keeps us alive. So understanding that when you are able to move through your things and come out on the other side, that you have now created a passageway, a portal, a vestibule for somebody else to do the same. So being intentional with that and letting younger artists know, or people that are up and coming, that I started this at 35, and the things that I've been able to do after coming home from prison with a box of poems, that's all I had, was a box of poetry and a gift, and saying, I'm going to do this now at 35. And now at 42, you know, I have done a lot of things. But another question was like, when people hire you or book you or something like that, I think about the layers of under the layers, right? That someone believes that I have something that is going to activate and ignite the people that they are in community with. So they have poured their resources into this thing because they trust that we're going to be able to bring something to awaken folks. So just being intentional.
I like that. Yeah. Is that what?
I have a question. When I was in high school, just a couple of years ago, I was in the music department. I was in band and orchestra, and then they had to cut funding. So I see across the country music programs being cut, arts. The arts, it's everywhere. Everything we do revolves around the arts. So what do you all think of things that are slowly being cut, especially for the young people who are growing up?
I think it's important that we get back to like what I call like they used to be, when I was growing up, there used to be like a triangle. It used to be the church, used to be the school, and it used to be the community center. And when one of those things are out of shift, technically all those things are out of shift. And we have to get back to being able to empower our kids in our community to do stuff. It is crazy to me, you go spend money for everything under the sun. You'll put up pictures of you traveling all over the world, and then you wonder why, well, the kids ain't got nothing to do. Well, you're not paying for them to be able to do anything. You're not investing anything. I believe that if you want to really see, to take control of it, you got to take control of the situation at some point. Stop leaving it up to government and leaving it up to all these different programs to like run everything. I was raised in a house with people that made no more than $3.82 an hour. My first job was more than my grandfather had ever made. But they always had 2 cars. They always had an 800 plus credit score, and they did what they needed to do. But that woman who only had a 3rd grade education understood how to make sure I got myself from point A to point B and made sure I studied and did stuff, and I went where I was supposed to go. So if you don't sit there and spend any time with these kids and with these young people, you can't expect nothing to go except for whatever it is to happen, because this is your choice of what you decided to do. So at some point, we've got to get back to investing in the education and investing in the community. I know this is going to be controversial, but I'll deal with it. I believe, we got churches on every corner and everywhere. Most of these people don't even have no real stake in your community where the church is, but you live there. It's like T.I. said, you work here, but I live here. And it's a little different. So if you want people to have all these tax breaks, do all this fancy stuff, you need to make sure that they're held accountable. But we as people that live in these communities have got to take responsibility to make sure that we have control over this stuff and investing into what we need to invest in.
And Stefan is going to answer now. We're coming down to the end of our program, so thanks for sticking with us. But make sure you stick all the way through, because we have a special treat at the end.
Yes, we do.
But to continue, yes.
Oh, I was just going to say that for me, my life has been a testimony of being able to be cultivated by the community and the importance of the arts in the youth. So when it comes to my story, I grew up in University City, and that community, come on, that community, it's a great community. And I've even seen when it comes to the high school and even the middle schools, there's a certain funding when it comes to the arts that, in turn leaves students coming out are, more artistic and more successful and more, proud in what they're doing. And the community itself is a reflection of that joy that you get from being able to express yourself. Now, when I was 13, I moved to the west side of St. Louis, and it didn't look too pretty over there, you know what I'm saying? And I went to Sumner High School, the Sumner High School, you know what I'm saying? First black high school west of the Mississippi River since 1875. Anyway, being at that school from 2019 to 2023, I seen a major shift. And why? It was because of the arts. Before in 2019, there was all types of violence going on in the Ville neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, there still is some violence and stuff like that, but it has had a major change when it came to 2020. And, you know, my mentor, Jermaine Smith, and, you know, he came in and he became the director of arts, and they brought on these programs, you know, the art pathways, and that really changed the structure of the school and, you know, the outlet that the youth had. You know, before they used that to go right after school, they going to kill somebody, or they're going to rob somebody. That all of that energy that they had, they didn't have anywhere to really utilize that. And they didn't even know their own potential that they were artists. And so I think being at Sumner, you know, and having those art pathways and those teachers that really care for you and that pour into you, they showed us a different way of how we could be able to express that energy in an artistic manner to be able to, you know, reflect what's going on within us. And in turn, you know, that helped our community in a way, you know, and helped our youth to, you know, it helped stop the violence. And I would say that it is imperative for schools across the nation and across the world to have that funding and to pour into students, into our youth when it comes to the arts.
All right, school board
100%.
members and school board superintendents.
I know.
You heard them.
Well, this has been a memorable night. We've had such a great time. You have been amazing.
Let's give our panel a round of applause.
Thank you so much. So we have a special treat. I think it's only fitting to hear some wise words from Tracy T. Spirit Stanton.
Take it away.
All right, they're gonna do the thing right here for me. Look at me, y'all. I'm growing up. Look at me with my journal, my notebook. Yeah. So, can y'all hear me? Yeah. All right. So, yeah, this is a poem that I wrote about Black joy. They say we speak things into existence. Well, roam with me through this Roman 4:17, and we manifesting Black folks living and not just merely existing. This utterance will usher in Black life like I'm a doula or a modern-day midwife whose role is to ensure that you breathing right, they say. That we speak things into existence, so today I'll use my voice to employ Black joy. No resume, no cover letter, just hire on the spot sometimes. Just being and beaming and all this celestial, ancestral obsidian be the only piece of Black joy we got. Imagine us living vivaciously with no ops, just opportunities. This be the most opportune time to tap into this Black unity. This be Black radical tradition, Black ritual, Black laughter be free and unconditional. Black joy, Black abstract is abstract and fashion is unrestrained, unrestricted, and unconventional. Black joy. Black elation with no limits, no gimmicks or limitations. This Black joy on the rise like this. Inflation, this Black joy, this Black culture, this Black labor has elevated this whole nation tenacious. Indestructible, this joy be titanium, magical and unpenetrable. This joy be vibranium. This is full joy. Not in spite of, not in addition to, not to be used as a placeholder or a substitute. We high off this Black life, no substance use this joy. It's giving. It's giving thanks with no pilgrims. It's empty cupboard. We journey to the grand house for the pilgrimage. This joy. It's nutrition and resources without scrimmaging. It's listening for the beat to drop. It's wop, 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 and great Auntie Bertha May feeling it. It's the remembrance. It's ancient wisdom. They not like us. It's getting pulled over with 4 traffic warrants and they didn't lock us up. It's unraveled Bantu knots. It's pop locks. It's leaving your Optima door open and the Kia boy didn't pop locks. It's moisturized locks. It's moisturized locks draping and scraping the top of our butts. It's bald heads, afros, and low cuts. It's Black people eating green food. It's Black people staying informed but critiquing the news. It's Black folks in nature. It's Nina popping and Chi-Town percolating. It's sound bowls. It's sound bowls and the djembe drums for emotional regulating. It's regulators. Mount up. It's black joy. It's black folks afraid of heights but still hiking mountain and praying because it's in God we trust. It's dirty winding for the root chakra aligning. It's coming out the barber with a freshly spray painted lining. It's black folks being on time and black folks in the cipher with or without the rhyming. It's circular and infinite. It's just as rhythmic as the twists in our hips. This joy is saturated in dense and as full as our lips. It's double dipping in the rotel. Your brother didn't go tell. It's vegan. It's vegan rotel. It's the smell of collards, mustards, and turnips that you didn't get woke up to pick. It's the turn up and the turn down on the family trip that you can actually afford. It's joy. It's connection. It's a paid sabbatical because black folks need to rest and it's your reflection. Your mirror offers you a miracle. You offer the gaze and it has the black blank audacity to start black at you. It's look at what God can do. It's do as I say, not as I do with a conversation. It's offered an apology with changed behaviors. It's breath. It's black folks breathing clean air. It's black fathers not leaving and black women letting them see their children if that happens. It's yes. It's yes and snapping. This joy be as versatile as a black woman's hairstyle. It's joy, not fleeting. Even if you can't see it, I want you to know that it's always there lingering, hovering in the distance, just waiting on you to return. This black joy doesn't have to be earned. It's your birthright. And it was delivered to you when God said, let there be light. Black joy.
Thank you, everybody!
And just a reminder, you can also see this on our 5+ app. It's free to download. So thank you so much. Thank you, Missouri History Museum. Thank our panelists. Thank you for coming out in this cold. And thank you for all of our KSDK staff who are here tonight to help make this possible.
Go spread some joy.